believe? What is it that we treasure? Religion. Reflections about the meaning of life, purpose, and value. According to Powell, central to the religious life is the quest for salvation. I had the opportunity to interview Subbo Yeleswarapu, who identifies as a Hindu from the Brahmin caste. I was able to better understand his views as a practicing Hindu on the topics of gender, clergy, salvation, practices, ethics, sexual orientation, and his struggles in the USA. I know you are from South India and speak Telugu. What town were you born in?
I'm born in a town called Bhimavaram. It's in the Godavari River Delta.
And I know you were raised Hindu, and that's why I'm interviewing you to talk about Hinduism. And I know that your family is Brahmin. Can you speak a little bit more about that?
Sure. So when I'm born into Hindu family, of course Brahmin family, but there is no extra things that that we grew up in a different way. Most of the festivals, etc., it's all same, and we grew up with a lot of festivals and a lot of fun.
Eliade talks about festivals and how it is a way to tap into primordial time, the forces of creation, chaos, and then new order. The most important aspect of Subbo's family's Brahmin tradition is food. Subbo told me that while someone pursuing only spirituality may eat sattvic, people living in regular society should eat a balance of sattvic, rajasic, and tamasic foods. Subbo and his family eat vegetarian.
But if you are living in a society, you definitely need both rajasic and tamasic food also, as needed, because in situations where you need to be active, strong, you need rajasic food and tamasic food too. None of these things are bad or good on their own. It all depends on your pursuit, purpose. For example, every god.
Gods are worshipped in the Hindu tradition, and it is a polytheistic religion.
Also has a tamasic aspect of them, and rajasic aspect of them, and sattvic aspect of them. For example, if you take Shiva, the sattvic aspect of him is called Dakshinamurti. And his rajasic aspect is that is he is taking care of people is called Shiva. And in his tamasic form he becomes Rudra, who who dissolves the whole universe. So the same dude, becoming different things based on the purpose. So that
who does he become?
He becomes Rudra, Rudra, when he opens his
who dissolves the whole universe.
He dissolves things, so not just Shiva, Vishnu, even the goddess Saraswati, who is goddess of just knowledge, has these three forms. Um, uh, so as a diet at home, we do get all these things, a mix of things. But generally, when you go into serious pursuit of spirituality, that's when you slowly cut off tamasic and rasic and focus on sattvic food, because there your objective is to calm down your mind and make it stable, focused. So there you don't have any activity to do. So that's the whole purpose.
Okay, yeah, I've never heard that perspective before. That's really interesting. And Subbo, he cooks great Indian food.
Yeah, vegetarian, but I can cook pretty good. Yeah.
So I'm wondering about if you can share with us some of the stories of the Hindu gods. I know you had told me a little bit about the story about Ganesha, and yeah, I'm curious about the story about Hanuman, and you're just telling us a little bit about Shiva, but yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So Hanuman. See, all the gods in Indian system is there are two kinds of gods. One is the universal consciousness took a form and came down and to do some project. That's why in Hinduism gods come and go. So they come for a specific project and they go. So and they become universal consciousness. So Hanuman came for a specific, he came to help Rama in his pursuit. The project is to kill Ravana, who happened, who became a problem on in the world. So Sri Rama came and Hanuma came mainly along with him, and he became very important in finding Sita and all that story.
The numinous experience is defined as the experience of the sacred, as Mircea Eliade describes in his book called The Sacred and the Profane. I asked Subbo to gain more understanding about the concept of salvation for Hindus, and he explained that the goal begins with Atman, God consciousness, versus the ego. The concept of salvation implies being saved, that is, rescued. For Hindus, the problem is the never-ending cycle of birth, death, rebirth, and the solution is found in liberation, or moksha. The path of action for a Hindu is that a person can improve their karma in the next life through good deeds in this one, while for Christians, salvation is being delivered from death through belief in Jesus Christ. Hindus believe that all your actions have consequences, and in rebirth,
Has born and face the consequences of your actions. So it becomes responsibility.
Yeah.
So that's and in the process, you can take There is no guarantee that you will come as a human. So you can come as any form of life. So now tell me, all the animals and trees and all the life you see around, they could be just somebody's rebirth, and after they die, they take another form. So you don't. That's the big difference between other religions and Hinduism. That's one second thing.
And I'm curious, like, what do you think is like the ultimate goal of Hinduism?
So like I said, so now that if you consider a life being is nothing but somebody putting the wrapper around a piece of consciousness, calling the wrapper being ego. Okay, so if I am Subbu and the actual consciousness is God consciousness, the same Rama or Shiva or whatever, but I put a wrapper in my limited knowledge. I put a wrapper called Subbu. So now the whole purpose of my life is to somehow get rid of this wrapper. So I become the universal consciousness. Then I'm not limited. So right now I'm limited, constrained by space, time, and all this stuff, and life, and health, and all this stuff. So the freedom that is called moksha. That is the main pursuit of every being in Hinduism, is to become the God awareness, that you are the God, and while you achieve it, you may go through millions of lives.
So I'd love to. So like going back to, we were talking about like the stories of the gods and goddesses. But I would like to hear the story about Kali.
Yeah, Kali is a very, very interesting story, and it's basically Kali form is nothing but the form of Parvati, Shiva's wife, and or Durga, different names of the same goddess. So she went to kill some demon, and one of the demons, not the original, the main king demon, one of his commanders, his name is Raktabija. So basically he has a boon. So his boon is that every time somebody hits him, and if one drop of his blood falls on the earth, a million of him comes out. Okay, with the same strength. So, and all the people are hitting him, the more blood comes out, more people come out. And even if you hit that one of those guys, again a million people come. So the whole battlefield become full of him. You can't kill him, right? Because if you touch him, blood comes, that's it. Right? So that's when Mother Parvati takes the form of Kali, and she says, okay, she extends her tongue, and she covers the whole battlefield with the tongue, and brings that guys onto the tongue as a carpet and kills them. Any blood is born, she drinks. Okay, so like that she was doing, and Then she kills the final Rakta Bija also. Now, this is the what is this is where the concept of goddess comes into very interesting mix. So what is the god, god or goddess? It's basically a power that is in its purest form. So here Kali in her purest form is the goddess of death, right? So she killed, for her killing is a play, okay, because she can create also, right? So she can kill whomever she wants, right? So she enjoys the killing, so she keeps on killing, and after she killed all the demons, she started killing this side also, because that's what she does, right? It's a celebration of death. So she keeps on killing, and how to stop her? So that was the challenge, and Shiva did not come to that war until then. So somebody told Shiva, this woman is killing even our side, come help, what do we do? So he says, don't worry. He comes and he just lies down in the path she is going. So as soon as her feet touches his body, her husband's body, and she comes down, her real Parvati form comes up, and that's the thing, that's the Kali thing. That's why you see Kali is you can see even in modern.
Sectarianism, bigotry, and fanaticism have filled the earth with violence, drenched it often with human blood, and destroyed civilizations and sent whole nations to despair. This is a quote by Vivekananda, who gave a speech discussing Hinduism and how it is arguably the most tolerant religion and accepting religion. And this is seen even when it comes to the topic of gender, transgender, and sexuality. But what about the modern issue of what about transgender?
Oh, wonderful question. So if you see in my house, the Shiva and Parvati, you saw that, right? So it is Ardhanariswara, we call it. It's actually Shiva, right hand side of it is Shiva, left hand side of is Parvati. So we call them as the first being. They are the first gods. Okay, we got. So if they are one, half man, half
Shiva
woman.
and Parvati are
they are one. Okay, so they are one half man, one half woman. They can be man whenever they want. They can be women, right? So that is the gender neutrality. The second point is Indian whole modern. When I say modern, in last the Hindu history, if you see, going back at least, even recorded was like 6,000-7,000 years, is if you Mahabharata and all the stuff. So if you go there, there are two kingdoms, king lineages. One is solar dynasty, one is lunar dynasty. The lunar dynasty started by over a very interesting story. There was a king, there was a prince.
The lunar dynasty.
There was a prince. He went to some forest where Parvati and Shiva were there. It was Parvati's garden. So he wanders into that by mistake, but because it's Parvati's, whoever comes except Shiva becomes women. So this prince became a woman.
Wait, so whoever comes
into that garden, Parvati's garden, it's Parvati's goddess of femininity, right?
Yeah.
So if she is goddess of femininity of the universe, anything that comes there becomes feminine. Right?
Okay, yeah.
Right? So it's like you pouring a little bit of red color in ocean, it becomes ocean, right? Whatever ocean color is, right? So that drop won't change.
Right.
So he became a girl. So the son of Moon, who is Buddha, the planet Mercury, he came in human male form, and they fell in love. And every 1 month she becomes a woman, and 1 month he becomes a man. Okay, the prince. So when the Buddha convinces, they made love, and she conceived, and after 9 months, she was, every month she becomes man and woman changes. Okay, so that's the transgender. You can ask for, right? Gender fluid. So then he has a baby, Pururava, and that guy is the origin of the lunar dynasty of kings in whole India for thousands of years. Okay, so it's called story of Ila, and this is the level of history you can ask for transgender and all this third gender kind of thing. The most interesting point is Sanskrit is one the root mother of all Indian languages. Okay, by grammar definition, Sanskrit has three genders. So every verb has three genders in it. So the male form, female form, and we call it Napunsak. That is third gender. So if the whole LGBT community should, Sanskrit is the most natural language for them, because there is a language that is built in for them, right? You don't have to use they, them, kind of situation. You don't need to alter some English to be.
It's already there.
It's already there. Every verb you have a third gender form. Use it. And name has a third gender form. So I tell my nieces, I was telling Sanskrit is the language of LGBT. Yeah. So now you tell me Sanskrit is at least, even in modern terms, it is at least 3,000-4,000 years old. So if a language was designed such that the whole grammar has a third gender, you can understand how acceptable it is. We have law, we don't have any taboos about these things. Hindu culture doesn't have. But it understands that, for procreation you need a male and female. But it doesn't restrict or, blame or tabooize these things. That's not in Hindu culture at all.
Yeah, it sounds like the Hindu culture is very transgender friendly.
Oh yeah, we have.
In Erickson's view, sexual differentiation is of utmost importance for understanding religious behavior and experience. The soul is man's most bisexual part, he states, and describes masculine and feminine modes as ways of approaching the divine, and both modes are available to men and women, according to Erickson. Sexual orientation for Hindu is a non-issue for the most part, since it's possible to reincarnate into something that doesn't have a gender. Okay, and then so what about homosexual?
So homosexuality, see, I would approach it the other way, around. Hindu society, Hinduism so now, like I was explaining, this multiple lives, I'll go back to that, multiple lives and etc. So there are some life forms who are, who are, I don't know the exact word, but there is no male and female species to begin with, right? So in my next life, I can be that, right?
Yeah.
So,
according to Eliade, what is sacred to some people may be profane to another.
Gay life or lifestyle.
Like an amoeba or something.
Exactly. Yeah. But the thing is, Hinduism doesn't prohibit, doesn't condemn anything. There is no absolutes. It actually says that they don't go extremes either way. But there is it always brings down to the two things. One is make sure that your behavior is within the rules of the society. Second thing is your pursuit is moksha. This.
Ethics in the Hindu tradition for all Hindus include, firstly, for a person's behavior to be within the rules of society. Secondly, a Hindu should be following Dharma, which has 4 aspects as follows. 1, you are God consciousness. 2, aesthetics, cleanliness, hygiene, beauty. 3, you don't harm anybody. 4, you do not do things because of expecting something, but because it is the right thing to do. Interestingly, Erickson, the famous psychologist, has basic virtues which are similar to the Hindu asrama or stages of life. However, Hinduism doesn't include Erickson's first stages in childhood, which are 1, trust versus mistrust, 2, autonomy versus shame and doubt, 3. Initiative versus guilt. For Hindus, a child is considered a child until he or she is 8 years old. Practices include the 15 ceremonies of life, and the 16th is the death, and the 4 dharmas, and these rites of passage reflect deeply significant transitions in human modes of being. Mircea Eliade expressed the idea that we removed the religion from the world and made secular modes of thought, but still a trace remains, and this can be seen in mythical motives as seen in movies and stories, and still I think these rites are alive in Hindu culture. Key rituals include coming of age, which is between 12 and 14 years old, which represents when an individual is no longer a child and is moving into the next stage of life, which is going to school and being a student. After education, there is family life, then marriage, ceremony, rituals to ancestors, and of course having children.
So that is different, that is.
And then what's the difference between like a guru and a priest?
Yeah, that's a very good question. Guru and priests are completely different. First point. Let's come to priest. Even priests, there are 2 types of priests in Hindu system. So one type is you go to a temple, you will see a priest, and the priest is the one. There, the definition of priest is the servant of God. Okay, all their job is to maintain the temple, to take care of the deity, the temple deity, the god, and serve the god, making sure that every day bath is given, food offerings, beautification and all. That's all his duties. His or her duties. And if people like us go, they say, okay, we give flowers, and they say, okay, so and so Ali came to your thing, and you will ask whatever god you want directly. You don't ask the priest, you ask the god directly, and you worship, and he does that. Because the god, generally in 99.99% of the places, the deity wouldn't touch the god, because the god has to be maintained certain level of saucha, which we call saucha is in the sanctity. Okay, because everybody touches, everybody comes, and they bring their energies, so they want to keep it because it's battery charger kind of thing. So that's one kind of priest. The second kind of priest is the one who does all the rituals for you. They'll come to your home, and they do your naming ceremony, death ceremony, this ceremony. Those are the priests also. So the guy who is in the temple generally don't do home rituals.
Oh, it's a different.
99% they don't.
It's a different kind of priest.
Exactly.
Oh,
There are 2 kinds of. These
the
guys won't go.
ceremonies.
Yeah, you can't take your home priest, go to a temple and say, okay, this guy will do puja.
Okay. Yeah,
Okay.
I went with Subbo to a Hindu temple, and it was so beautiful there, and I think the priest was like
Exactly. They do. Their focus is on the god. Okay.
Yeah.
Now.
And then there was some some drink or some.
They give you that.
Yeah.
The basil leaf water. They give that. So that is the priest. The 2 kinds of priests. Now coming to guru, even gurus there are 7 or 8 types of gurus in Hinduism. Okay. So the guru we talk is the one. Generally we talk is the one who gives you the Atma Jnana, the self-realization, God realization kind of knowledge. Who gives? That's what is the real guru. Okay, that guru wouldn't even visit you, come to you. The world, they start experiencing the world. So these 3 things happen. So that's why the Upanayana is very, very important, where we teach them Gayatri mantra. Your daughter's name is that, right? So Gayatri mantra we teach them. So that is what takes them through the growth, through your teenage life, as you are learning. So it is basically Gayatri by definition means the one that protects whoever recites it. So if you recite, the mantra protects you, basically. That's what Gayatri means. If you recite the mantra, it will protect you. Okay, from everything, while taking you through the nirvana, path. So you are protected through the influences of age, influences of knowledge, influences of friends, and that's the most vulnerable age, right?
Yeah,
8 to
yeah.
20.
Oh yeah, very
So,
vulnerable age.
so that's what that takes.
That
And
sounds
then
like
you,
a powerful mantra.
exactly.
Yeah.
So everybody research to the point that different cultures experience sacred differently, and they hold them sacred. So now Hindus, we consider rivers, cows, trees. They're all sacred now for us.
Rivers, cows,
Oh
trees.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and parents and teacher. So basically, we are
Parents
taught that
and
these are all
teacher.
gods for us. Even before the real God,
Mm-hmm.
we are taught that your mother is your first God, your father is your second God, your teacher is your third God, then your guest is the fourth God. After you took care of these four, then you worry about the whatever you think your God is. Okay, so
yeah. So I think we've talked a lot about Hinduism and many different aspects of the culture and religion and society. And I just have one.
these are the main festivals. Diwali is one festival of lights, and of course Ganesh birthday, Krishna birthday is very famous, Rama birthday is very famous, and then the 9 days that Parvati Durga fought with the demons, that's very famous for us. 9 days festival. Oh, you go some places in India, those 9 days, it's very colorful, very beautiful. And then we have the, for example, season change is Holi, where you throw the colors, right? Play with colors. That is in February time frame, where spring starts and Vasant Ritu starts. So like that, it's a mix of harvesting. Pongal is the biggest festival, and harvesting, seasons, and then gods. When you mix them, you get so many festivals. And actually, I'm not at all a scholar or anything. I just whatever I know is just by growing up, in a Hindu family, and I haven't read much, and I haven't read anything, to be honest. And I'm not a scholar at all. But this is just what I understood, just by being Hindu, just observing. That's all. So hope others enjoy the conversation.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Subbo, for
Thank you.
sharing your experience and
Thank you.
wisdom.
Thank you. This is my first, situation where I answered. So
Okay.
hope I didn't mess it up
That was
for
great.
you. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.